Good evening, everybody. My name is Dave Austin, Director of Athletics here at Guilderland. And thank you for joining us this evening. Sorry we didn't get off at 6 o'clock, just had a little bit of technical difficulties, but thank you for joining us. As we turn our calendars to September, we are just about 2 weeks into our fall season. Thought it'd be a great time to speak to you tonight about some important information about the upcoming fall season. So thank you for joining us. And we are going to start with some COVID protocols for our athletes and coaches, starting with face masks. Appropriate face masks must be worn at all times indoors, regardless of vaccination status. So when our athletes and coaches are in gymnasiums, lobbies, locker rooms, weight room, buses, masks must be on. At this time, outdoors, we are promoting physical distancing as much as possible, but masks are not required outdoors at this time for athletes and coaches. We are no longer doing daily screenings. We found that those were quite tedious, and that some were not being very truthful with their responses on those screenings. So, no screenings for the fall season. And last but not least, kind of one of those messages that we are trying to get out frequently is if you are sick, not feeling well, please stay home. I know you want to play, but it is not worth it. Trust me. So just a quick update on where things stand with some COVID protocols. Also, want to get into probably one of the hot topics of athletics discussions right now is testing. And I wanted to start by showing the levels of community transmission indicator chart, which is based off of CDC. Um, Currently, Albany County is designated as a high transmission zone. We are experiencing well over 100 new cases per 100,000 persons in the past 7 days. So the guidance that we are following is based off of schools that are in the high transmission zone or the red zone. I want to emphasize as we go through this tonight that it is constant changing guidance that we are getting. And as a result, our plans for athletics are pretty much evolving by the day. For instance, I know we just received a new set of guidance from the New York State Department of Health a couple of hours ago. So we're doing our best to respond to the constant changing guidance and be as safe as we possibly can for our athletes, coaches, and fans. But just wanted to throw out there that things certainly could change. But for the time being, we continue to listen to the CDC, New York State Department of Health, and the Albany Department of Health. And just to kind of continue with why testing athletes. Well, based on where we are in the transmission zone, we've kind of listened to guidance from the Capital Region BOCES Health Safety Risk COVID-19 Layer Mitigation Protocol, which states that schools in the high transmission zone are recommended to perform weekly screening testing for participants who are not fully vaccinated at least once per week. So that's kind of one of the documents that we're using as guidance. And the others, we're listening to the Albany County Department of Health. We received a memo from Dr. Elizabeth Whalen that states to facilitate safe participation in sports, extracurricular activities, and other activities with elevated risk, schools are recommended to implement screening testing for participants who are not fully vaccinated and can come into close contact with others during these activities. So I know that's a big question that we were getting once we kind of sent some of this information out to our families. Why are we testing unvaccinated athletes? Well, these are the documents that this is the guidance that we're getting it from, and that's the why. I mean, because it states clearly, to test unvaccinated athletes. So where we landed at this time, and again, this could change based on the evolving guidance, but at this time, we are planning to do weekly testing of our unvaccinated athletes who participate in high risk sports. So that is our football players, our boys and girls volleyball players, and our cheerleaders. All unvaccinated athletes that participate in those sports are subject to weekly testing at this point. So we've asked for proof of vaccination or parental consent to testing. I can report that we will be testing once per week, and again, unless things change, we plan to start that up next week. Wednesday is going to be a testing date for us. Testing is going to be done by our Gilliland nurses, and we are working with the nurses to determine dates and times, going forward, not just next week, but going forward. And we will communicate that information to the coaches when we have it. Last but not least, with testing, I wanted to mention, because this is another popular question, is, what is the type of test that these athletes are going to be subject to each week? Um, it is a type of rapid test. It is a nasal swab, but it is non-invasive. It's just a quick swab of each nostril. It's not, to use layman's term, it's not the brain tickler test. It's very non-invasive, quick nasal swab. We should have the results of that test in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes or less. Sticking with testing, I wanted to just kind of go through some frequently asked questions, starting with, what if I'm unvaccinated, but I've tested positive for COVID in the last 90 days? We're not going to test athletes as long, obviously we're going to have that documentation. The nurses are going to have that documentation that the student athlete had tested positive within the last 90 days. We're not going to test those athletes at this time. It was decided that we would wait for the 90-day period to expire before those unvaccinated athletes were subject to weekly testing. So I know that's one of the frequently asked questions that we're getting. I wanted to start there. Second question, what if I'm not fully vaccinated yet, but have received the first dose? If an athlete has started the vaccination process, we are not going to test those athletes weekly. So, if the first dose is done, but waiting on the second dose, we are not going to test those athletes. And last but not least, what if I test positive at my weekly screening? Well, the answer to this, unfortunately, is that athlete will be quarantined from school and from athletics and will be sent to get a PCR test, and will remain in quarantine until they receive the results of the PCR test. Obviously, if the PCR test is negative, the athlete returns to school, returns to athletics. If it's positive, then we, go forward with our contact tracing protocol. Shift gears to spectators, another one of those hot topics that we've talked a lot about. We've received a lot of questions about. And again, I want to reiterate again, you're going to understand the theme of the night. This is evolving. This is our preliminary plan. Things could change. At this time, we have no limits in the number of spectators allowed at Guilderland home athletic contests. So no spectator badges to hand out. I hope I never see those again, by the way, for what it's worth. We've got a volleyball match going on as we speak, and we have no limits to our spectators that have been coming in so far. I will say that the district is meeting on Tuesday to discuss planning for varsity football home games. Varsity football, just based on the sheer number of attendees, is a different animal than the number of attendees that we get at our other fall athletic events. So we need to do due diligence and spend some time hashing all of that out. And so we will on Tuesday. And so stay tuned for some information regarding varsity home football home games. But as in regards to all other sports at all other levels, at this time we have no limits for spectators. Having said that, spectators must wear appropriate face masks while attending indoor athletic events at Guilderland. I say at Guilderland, but I can say that that is unanimous across the board. So if you're going to an indoor event at a nearby suburban council school, you're going to need to wear masks while attending that indoor event. When outdoors and 3 feet distancing cannot be maintained, spectators should be wearing appropriate face masks. What about other schools in the suburban council? I mean, I alluded to just a moment ago about indoor contests, but the where Guilderland stands right now as spectators isn't necessarily where Saratoga, Averill Park, Bethlehem stands with spectators. So I know that was information I shared with our coaches yesterday. There is a link in this PowerPoint that we will get posted to our athletic website tomorrow. And that link will bring you to a live document with where our opponents stand in regards to spectators in the suburban council. I've shared that with our coaches, and I'll reiterate. We want to check that document before we visit someone else's campus, just so that we know what their protocol is, because again, it's not going to necessarily be the same as Gilliland. Shifting gears to transportation. We met with our transportation department last week. We have a new transportation director, Inho. Met with Inho and dispatchers Patty and Ellen. They're all fantastic. The drivers are fantastic to work with here, but they are facing some challenges right now. They're doing their best, but they are down drivers. And when we met last week, they were struggling to cover the normal school day routes right now. I mean, it's literally all hands on deck where we've got dispatchers, mechanics, and even Inho himself covering some runs right now. So when you're struggling to cover the school day runs, we're bound to face challenges in regards to athletics transportation. But I want to share some updates with you in regards to transportation, starting with our daily shuttles. In a normal year, and last year wasn't normal, and certainly this year doesn't feel so normal. We were afforded the opportunity to have daily shuttles for practices. So I'm happy to report that, we do have some shuttles available. At this time, we do plan on having a shuttle to take any seventh and eighth grader that might be participating in a high school level sport or Mod 9 soccer player. We have a shuttle at 3:30 leaving FMS. They're going to be at the front of the line and depart for GHS. They may drop some of the cross country runners off at Tawasenta on the way, but the remaining seventh and eighth graders will get to the high school roughly around 3:45. At that time, that shuttle bus will take any high school cross country runner that needs to get over to Tawasenta. And if we need to make a second trip back to Tawasenta, that shuttle will return and make two trips to Tawasenta. So those shuttles are available. Those shuttles are something that we can cover at this time. We also are going to provide transportation for our boys and girls golfers to get to Western Turnpike for practices and home matches. So that's a daily shuttle that we'll be running, and those are going to be more than likely those golfers are going to jump on route buses. I'm getting the bus numbers and I'm going to share those with the golf coaches. But basically, at the end of the day, a route bus, 2:57 dismissal from the high school. Those golfers would jump on the bus around 3 o'clock, 3:05, and dismiss and head over to the golf course for practice and a home match. So not only are we facing some challenges for shuttles, but we are going to face some challenges for away contests as well. Before I shift gears to the away contest, unfortunately, at this time, we do not have a shuttle for field hockey to Aframs or for swimmers to Voorheesville. That could change, especially if we're able to make some late hires for drivers. And if that changes, I'll let the coaches know. But we have notified our coaches of that. So hopefully they've shared that. I know it's not ideal by any means, but I want to reiterate that it is not because we are choosing not to provide those options. It's we are facing challenges and we're just not able to do those right now. And if that changes, I will certainly let the coaches know. We will also have some challenges for away road contests as well. We may have to look at chartering some trips with outside transportation groups. So stay tuned. But we are going to do our best to cover our trips with the resources that we have. So last but not least, in regards to transportation, I wanted to mention our transportation waiver that was sent to our coaches. And there's also hard copies available in the athletic office. That's, it's nice to have. It's a one-time waiver that we're asking our parents to fill out once over the course of the fall season. And basically by filling that out, you can kind of, grant permission for your child to travel to a game to or from by a parent. You also have the option to, give permission for your child to travel to or from an away contest with another parent. And of course, if you neither, would rather your child drive the school bus, there's an option on that waiver as well. So, but I think, the waiver was very helpful for us last year. We leaned on our parents last year. They stepped up in a big way. And due to some challenges with transportation this year, we may need to rely on the transportation waiver from time to time to sneak more kids on the bus or to maybe avoid sending out a bus altogether to an away meet or away contest. So be on the lookout for that transportation waiver. And we obviously appreciate, all of your help with that. Shifting gears to scheduling, we our online schedules, our schedules, shall I say, are available online. We have a scheduling app that we use called Scheduling Galaxy, and if you bear with me a minute, I'm going to exit the presentation and jump to the window with Schedule Galaxy up. So if you go to the Guilderland Athletics website, you'll have a link that will get you to athletic schedules. It will bring you here, and you can see we're looking at a calendar version of what our athletic schedules look like. So if you go to today on the 2nd of September, you will see the away contests are marked in salmon color. The home contests are marked in blue color. Um, you know, Coaches may give you a hard copy of your schedule, but I always say, especially with the weather in the fall and in the spring, these hard copy schedules are great to put on your refrigerator at home, but we are constantly changing those schedules based on weather, lack of officials, or and other extenuating circumstances. So this is a live, up to date schedule. This is the best schedule to look at, in my opinion, when you're going through this. You can view them like I'm doing right now as a calendar, where you can go up to the top left part of the page and actually click a specific team. All right. So we'll go to football here, and then below football, it's not doing it right now, but normally this is where you would see your levels. See if I could try a different sport here. We'll go to golf. We'll click on varsity golf, and it'll bring us to a boys varsity golf schedule. And when you're here on the top right corner of the page, you can actually subscribe. You'd have to register and create an ID and a password, but you can actually click on the sport level you're interested in, subscribe, and then you're going to get sport specific updates whenever there's a change on the schedule. You'll receive updates, via either text message or email, depending on how you set it up. So that's just some things I wanted to share about some scheduling. Also, just wanted to point out that we are on Twitter at Go Dutch Athletics, and I'll jump on the Go Dutch Athletics Twitter account. A great place for game results and recaps. We also put some neat digital media on there. We also have a number of our teams that have their own Twitter accounts that we're always retweeting stuff on there. You don't necessarily even have to have a Twitter account to see all of this. This is all accessible. There's a link on our website, our athletic website. You can click and see all of the stuff that's going on there. So take a look at Go Dutch Athletics, or give us a follow if you have a Twitter account. But also want to mention that, one of the other questions we're getting are, do we have plans to continue with our live streams? And we do. We are going to be live streaming a number of games this fall. And you can find live streams to those games either at the Guilderland Athletics YouTube channel, which I can tell you that all of the volleyball matches are going to be streamed via the Guilderland Athletics YouTube channel, or at the GHS Media YouTube channel. And Andy Maycock, Christian, and his crew are the best in the business. They do a fantastic job. What they're able to do and the different camera angles, it's fantastic. And they are looking forward to streaming a number of different varsity contests at Guilderland this fall. So we're excited to continue to bring you some live streams, which, let's face it, during these times, it's much needed to have the ability to watch some of these contests from the comfort of your own home. As I wrap up here, I wanted to mention, because I will, every chance I get over the next month or so, be talking a little bit about this proposed capital improvement project that is set to go up to vote on October 7th. We are super pumped about the possibilities of this project. Just in regards to, athletics, physical activity, there's just a number of cool things involved in this project, including outdoor learning spaces, playground upgrades at our elementary schools, and of course, last but not least, a complete remake of our track and a synthetic turf field at Guilderland High School. We actually have a cool graphic here of our turf field and what that could look like that I wanted to show you up here. But we would, this would greatly benefit our students, physical education students in grades 9 through 12 would get regular use on this field. a field that doesn't need to be mowed and maintained, that has preset lines, that can be used, well into the month of November, weather permitting, and even as early as February, early March, weather permitting. And of course, our athletic programs would benefit greatly from this project. Our boys and girls soccer teams, field hockey teams, football teams, boys and girls lacrosse teams would all play games at all levels at this field. And our community would benefit greatly. I have no doubts after kind of visiting some of our, nearby, colleagues in the suburban council that have synthetic turf fields. It has the potential to be the hub, or one of the hubs of our community. So super excited. So mark your calendars, October 7th. Get out and vote. You can vote at your nearest elementary school. And again, that is October 7th. So that is really all I have for you right now. I wanted to be as brief as I could, but also provide you guys an update as we are moving into as we get into week 2, week 3 into our fall season. And I'll reiterate, guidance is changing. We're doing the best to keep everyone in the loop, and we will continue to do that over the coming days. We'll do our best to keep everyone in the loop. And we're really looking forward to watching our Dutchman and our Lady Dutch compete this fall. So, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And in the meantime, if there's anything that wasn't covered, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the athletic office or shoot me an email. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great night.